What's going on? What's going on? It is Wednesday, January 28th, 2025. Once again, Happy New Year to each and every one of you. My name is Sean Hubbard, and this is HUBBanomics Volume 20. This is Hubbard Wrestling Weekly, and once again, I'm happy to be with you guys for another episode of HUBBanomics as we discuss the latest and greatest in the world of professional wrestling. Obviously, a quick programming note that immediately following this episode, or not immediately following, in a couple of hours after the completion of AEW Dynamite, make sure you guys check out my brother and co-host of Clash of the Podcast, the one and only Conrad Cushman, as well as my good friend, my guy Derek, as they review AEW, as they do a tremendous job each and every Wednesday night, which is tonight at around 10 p.m. on the Everything Pro Wrestling channel. So I just want to talk to you guys right quick. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Um, you know, Halfway through the week officially, or more than halfway through the week. So for those of you who are working and doing your thing, we're halfway there on our way to the weekend. Um, Obviously, a major um, story that took place, a major development that took place this past Monday night as WWE made its debut on Netflix for WWE Raw. Obviously, a landmark episode. How you feel about how the show played out or the storyline aspect of it all. Um, that's up to opinion. I was very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not pleased with The Rock and Cody Rhodes being so chummy, chummy, buddy, buddy, but maybe there's a bigger story to that. If you ask Conrad, he'll tell you it's a bigger story. And obviously, my guy Derek said, let him cook. So I'm going to let him cook. We'll see what happens. But Rock was also being a little bit coy last night on NXT, saying, enjoy the ride the Rock is taking you on. So we'll see. Um, my good friend, our good friend, a good friend of the show, Joel, said that he loved the production value. No question. The production value of Monday Night Raw debut episode on Netflix, the production value was top tier, probably the best I've ever seen. So they're definitely WWE is definitely the leader as it relates to production value. They took it to a whole nother level. Intuit Dome in Los Angeles is a phenomenal venue. But one thing that kind of stuck out. Obviously, I'm very excited and hopeful for the future of Jey Uso as he got a very surprising victory over Drew McIntyre on Raw. Did not see that coming. Everybody knows I am the driver of the Jey Uso bandwagon. My girl knows that. My family knows that. My friends know that. People who watch us on Clash of the Podcast know that, or Hubbard Wrestling Weekly know that. But I was very shocked that Drew lost that match. I was very excited that Jey Uso won that match, and hopefully that'll lead to bigger and better things. But one thing that stuck out, obviously the Jey Uso victory sticks out like a good thing. That's a good thing. But one thing that stuck out like a sore thumb is the appearance of Hulk Hogan. Um, I debated back and forth on whether or not I was going to discuss this evening, but I feel like after having a day or two to kind of digest what took place on Monday night, which for the most part was a good night. Seth and CM Punk was amazing. I felt like I wanted to address this, and I feel like I'm a good person to address this, considering the fact that I am a person that knows what it's like to be a Hulk Hogan fan from back in the day. As a young man, young boy, I was a Hulkamaniac. I think a lot of us were. Growing up in the 90s, late 80s into the early 90s, um, Hulk Hogan was the man, right? So it's hard to have not been a Hulkamaniac back in those days. Now, as a grown man, a lot different. Um, Even before the racial comments became public, there's been much talk about how Hogan's business practices as it relates to that doesn't work for me, brother. Those things have come to the forefront. and kind of soured me on Hulk Hogan. And obviously, being a black man and hearing things that took place years ago, um, and things that he said that were derogatory from a racial standpoint has brought me to the point of no return as it relates to ever again being a fan of Hulk Hogan. That will not happen. The days of 5, 7 year old Sean, those days are over. I'm a grown man, and from a grown man perspective, I'm not a fan of Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, whatever you want to say. But I will say this: March 29th, 1987. Obviously, I saw it later on in life on videotape, on DVD. I've always said that WrestleMania 3, I think, is the most important um, wrestling event in history. Uh, Hogan and Andre changed the face of the landscape of the world of professional wrestling forever, and nobody could ever deny that. But I think that the most important thing that I could say, whether it's, I saw it years later. Again, I was like 1 year old at the time, but I ended up seeing it years later on tape, and I was like, yo, this is fantastic. It's amazing. 93,173 people. Obviously, that number has been highly disputed ever since then. Amazing how things can work out where you have a situation where you have the number 93,173 people in Pontiac Silverdome, and it turns out to possibly be not true. Or the man who told us to say our prayers, eat our vitamins, and believe in ourselves and train. Turns out maybe that's a whole lot of fugazi stuff as well, a lot of fakeness as well. Um, I'm not here to judge. I believe only God is the true judge, but um, when the rubber meets the road and you see and hear certain things, it's kind of hard to deny um, how I'm feeling right now, and honestly, how a lot of us feel, um, as young Hulk Hogan fans, and now being older and realizing this man is allegedly nowhere near what we thought he was, and the reason why I'm no longer and will never again be a Hulk Hogan fan. It's time to turn the page. I think the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about and what we should touch on tonight regarding Hogan's appearance on Raw is that it's time to turn the page. I feel like World Wrestling Entertainment has been trying to fit a square peg into a round hole as it relates to trying to get us as fans to continue to cheer Hulk Hogan. The days of the red and yellow making us feel good, the days of that song Real American making us feel good, those days are long gone. And I think it's important for me to express this in a very non-emotional and non-judgmental way. It's not about, obviously there's a lot, again, as being a black man, there are many emotional aspects to my feelings as it relates to Hulk Hogan and my distaste for how he's conducted himself over the years behind the scenes. But and also my distaste for how he's conducted himself behind the scenes as it relates to his wrestling politics and alleged maneuvering and side swiping of careers. And Bret Hart rings out, and there's obviously situations. You think about Shawn Michaels 2005. Looking back on that, Shawn Michaels should have won that match, but that didn't work for me, brother. So Hogan won. So we have to think about all these times, but from a non-emotional standpoint, I think it's very important to just think about it from a business standpoint. What exactly are we, if you're in WWE, trying to accomplish by having Hulk Hogan come out there? I mean, you want to talk about Real American Beer. You want to do this kind of like shilling of product. To me, being 100% honest with you, it would have been more prosperous and more successful to have Stone Cold come out and talk about his beer. I mean, obviously, it still would have been shilling. It still would have been trying to peddle a product. However, I think it would have been more well received if it had been Steve Austin. Was Steve Austin available? I don't know. Was Steve Austin in town? I don't know. Was Steve Austin gonna logistically be able to make it to that show on that particular night? We don't know. But again, I'm just kind of like putting the pieces to the puzzle together. You want to promote real American beer and have Hogan come out with Jimmy Hart waving the American flag. I mean, come on, man. There comes a point where it's like, listen, you guys are really trying to, like I said before, fit this square peg into this round hole. We get it. We get it. He's a real American. It's real American beer. We're trying to tap into nostalgia. Nobody appreciates nostalgia more than me. And Conrad does too, but I would even take it further with me. I think even I love nostalgia more than even Conrad. And I know Conrad loves nostalgia, but I'll probably love it more than he does. But it's not working. Had I been in that arena, we did a live watch along. Make sure you watch it in the archives on the EPW channel. Me and Conrad and Derek had a live watch along of the debut edition of Raw on Netflix. And our reaction was probably the same reaction that took place in the LA Intuit Dome. The boos were resounding for Hulk Hogan. I wasn't happy or excited to see Hulk Hogan. Nobody was excited or happy to see Hulk Hogan. It didn't work. And the reason why it didn't work is because, quite frankly, we're not idiots. We could all disagree here and there about the storyline direction of the WWE product. I know that I'm still not on board. I'm so confused about why Cody and The Rock are friends now. It makes no sense to me. But I digress. There comes a point where it's like, okay, listen, guys, we're not a fan of this guy anymore. There's only so many times you continue to bring this guy out and it just not work. He's made irreparable damage to his career and to his to the possibility of him being liked or appreciated at this time in his life as it relates to pro wrestling. I don't wish any bad upon the man. That's not my place. But I don't want to see him on my television anymore. I'm sick and tired of seeing Hulk Hogan. And as a kid, if little Sean could hear what Big Sean is saying, he would be mad at me right now. But you know what? Being a grown man and understanding the gravity of the situation and what's going on in real life, I have to say, I am not trying to see Hulk Hogan. This is not 1987. This is not 1989. It's not even 1996 with the NWO. It's over. And Terry Bollea has nobody to blame but himself. Again, it's not about being judgmental. It's about being real. Okay, you apologize for what you said, what you did, the racial comments, this, that, and the third. Okay, we hear you. You apologize. But you know what? That doesn't mean we want to see you on our television. That's 10 minutes of TV time, 7 minutes of TV time that could have been allocated to something else. Point blank, period. You know, this Hulk Hogan situation really is a life lesson, guys. You know, childhood heroes, people who we grow up watching on television, you know, sometimes life will reveal the truth. And you have to, as a grown adult, come to the realization that the guy who ripped his t-shirt and the guy who said, say your prayers, again, it tapped into so many things with me as a kid because I've been a Christian my whole life too. So it's like, say your prayers. Oh, this guy's got to be a good guy. But the guy who taught us to say our prayers and to eat our vitamins and to believe in ourselves and to train. Okay, well, you know what? Somebody was telling him to say that. And I'm not giving any credit to the guy who told him to say that because he has his own issues, and we'll talk about that another day. But he's not him. Hulk Hogan is not him. And then everything that probably would have come across kind of fun or nice had all these things not come out about him, like making reference to Macho Man, making reference to Andre the Giant, guys who are no longer with us, God rest their soul, who we still revere and love and appreciate for their contributions, where him saying that, it almost comes across like, okay, well, they're booing me out of the building. Let me mention, oh yeah, Macho Man, so they can cheer. Or let me mention Andre the Giant so they can cheer. No, we're hip to your game now. We're hip to what you're trying to accomplish here. You're trying to play damage control for your career. And I think it would be to the benefit of Hulk Hogan, the character, and Terry Bollea, the man, for his team, whoever that team may be, whether it be his agent, whether it be his publicist, to start turning down opportunities to come to World Wrestling Entertainment live events. Because you're doing nothing but hurting your legacy more and more and more. And not that it could be hurt anymore. I mean, at this point, it's already damaged pretty severely, right? But are you going to continue coming out and putting your hand to your ear and hoping that the volume of the boos goes down and the level of the cheers go up? It's not even 2002. I mentioned 1987. I mentioned 1989. I mentioned 1996. It's not even 2002 when Hulkamania made its big resurgence and he was the undisputed champion for a month, and he was not even that time, bro. It's a wrap. We know who you are now. We see who you are now. And we're not interested. And again, this is not coming from a position of being up on a high horse. I am no perfect person. I have my own crap. We all have our own crap. We are all human beings that make mistakes. I'm not here to stand in judgment of Terry Bollea. I'm just trying to tell WWE, hey, listen, wake up and smell the coffee. It's over. We're not interested. We all have the internet. We all can read a newspaper. For people who still read newspapers, we all have access to phones. We can read and understand. We all know what's going on with this guy. And don't get me started on the political stuff. Monday Night Raw was a very good show. All jokes aside, my confusion about Rock and Cody being friends now, whatever, maybe could have been a little bit more interference in the tribal combat match. That's just me being nitpicky. That's just me, picking for straws. The show was good. The show was good. But the appearance of Hulk Hogan did not help. It brought the show's quality down. If you thought the show was an A, it brought it down to a B. If you thought the show was a B, it brought it down to a C. Hogan being on Raw on Monday night, January 6, 2025 on Netflix was not a success. And it's getting to the point now where Triple H and whoever the decision makers are in World Wrestling Entertainment need to come up to a level of understanding to realize, yo, this guy being on our show is not helping. He doesn't need to be on this show because it's not productive. It is doing nothing but hurting the quality of the show. That's it. That's it. It took me a long time to get on board with the whole, Hogan's a political backstabber. Allegedly, he does a lot of things behind the scenes that are not cool. Because 5-year-old Sean didn't want to see that. But one thing that immediately turned me off and changed how I look at him forever was the racial stuff. There's just no coming back from that. Again, I'm not God. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be forgiven. That's not my decision to make. But as far as me being a fan of his, I'll forever appreciate the Mega Powers. I'll forever appreciate Hogan and Andre in front of 93,173 people or 78,000 people, depending on who you listen to. I'll forever appreciate the New World Order. I'll forever appreciate the 2002 run to the Undisputed Championship. But I'm a grown man. And as a grown man, you have to figure out what's real and what's not. Hulk Hogan was a created character in the world of professional wrestling that came to prominence in the AWA under the watch of Vern Gagne. He left Vern Gagne high and dry without fulfilling his contractual obligations. He came to World Wrestling Entertainment, formerly known as the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. He was chosen to be the WWE champion. He was chosen to be the guy to usher in the Rock and Wrestling connection with MTV. He was chosen to be the guy to usher in the cable boom of 1985 and 86. He was chosen to be the guy to take the mantle from Andre the Giant in 1987. He was chosen to be the guy to pass the torch to the Ultimate Warrior and take it back a year later. He was chosen to be the guy to be who he was in WWE. He joined the NWO when he didn't want to originally because it was going to be Sting, because Hogan was doing some ridiculous show called Thunder in Paradise that probably, God knows how well that show did, not well at all. He came back to pro wrestling probably out of necessity because his movie career did not take off the way he hoped to. The Santa with Muscles was not going to sell out the box office. The Nanny was not going to sell out the box office. So he came back to the world of professional wrestling. He became a big star again with the heel turn of 96. He returned to WWE in 2001, or in 2002, excuse me. Went back to prominence, became a world champion again. Even at his advanced age, it was believable because Hulkamania was running wild. I was excited about it. I'm sure you were too. But it's over. It's over. Things that we've heard about this man cannot be unheard. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. You cannot unring a bell. If you were to take a piece of carpet, yes, a piece of carpet, like on your floor, and if you were to rip that carpet, even if you were to sew it back together again, there will still be evidence of the rip. There will still be evidence that the carpet was compromised, even with the stitching, even if it seems to be back together, it will never be the same. I don't believe that you're supposed to throw old people out with the bathwater. I love nostalgia. I love to show respect to the legends that helped me fall in love with professional wrestling. But this man has shown himself to be not the greatest human being in a few very ugly, ugly ways. And we need to grow up, WWE, and stop putting him on television. In what world do you think it was a good business decision to get into a partnership with Hulk Hogan at this stage of his career, considering his reputation? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And chat, let me know if I'm wrong. I do believe Stone Cold Steve Austin does have a beer brand. If you wanted to get into a beer distribution contractual partnership with a WWE superstar from the past who wants to, like, why would you choose Hogan over Austin? That makes no sense. Now, I'm not saying that maybe they do have a relationship with Austin. I'm just going off of what I saw on Monday night. Got real American beer plastered all over the ring. Like, for what? Do you not remember what this guy... Oh, you remember what he did. You remember the things he said and done, but you think that we forgot. Okay. You think that because he does this again, and because we hear the song Real American, that we're going to forget that he talked negatively about black people, that he was disrespectful and made racial slurs and comments. I haven't forgotten, and I'm never going to forget. I'll forgive because that's what God would have me to do. Not that he's losing any sleep about my opinion, but my point is for me, because I think that's the right thing. I'll forgive him. I would want somebody to forgive me if I did something wrong, but I'm not gonna forget that. I'd be foolish to forget that. I'd be silly to act like it never it would be silly of me. It would be irresponsible of me to forget that and to go back to being a fan that I was when I was a 5-year-old kid. Not 5 years old anymore. I'm a grown man and I can read. So, with that being said, WWE got to get it together, man. You got to get it together. You got to stop making these silly decisions because that brought the quality of the show down. The reaction I'm sure you guys were looking for. You guys probably in Pat McAfee's ear and Michael Cole's ear, telling them what to say to at least get the viewing audience on Netflix hyped up about the fact that Hogan was there. It didn't work. It didn't work. And the biggest lesson I would say to take away from this situation is that a lot of the things Pat McAfee and Michael Cole were saying or being told to say were actually true. We're probably not at this stage of professional wrestling and this level of prosperity in wrestling if it wasn't in part to Hulk Hogan. But the point is, it doesn't matter. Okay, Hulkamania helped pro wrestling in a major way, but that doesn't erase some of the horrible things he's done. That doesn't make us forget the things he said and the way he's acted. There's certain things, okay, he was great, he was great, he was great. But there's certain things that circumvent his greatness in wrestling. How he's shown himself to be at times as a human being can overshadow his contributions to the pro wrestling business. And it has. It's just a fact. I'm not hating. I'm not judging. I'm just speaking facts. Just as sure as I'm wearing a black polo shirt with a stripe across the front. It's a fact. Hulk Hogan's contributions to the world of professional wrestling were and have been tremendous. But that does not erase the terrible things that he has done. And it's insulting for World Wrestling Entertainment to think that we would forget just because you play the song Real American, make the arena red and yellow, have Jimmy Hart come out with an American flag, and try and bring us back to the 1980s. Even for somebody like me, and I'll leave you guys with this, even somebody like me who loves nostalgia in the world of wrestling, who loves honoring the past in the world of professional wrestling, even somebody like me, it doesn't work. Because my love for nostalgia in pro wrestling, as strong as it might be, is not as strong as my love for humans being solid and good and upstanding humans. Being a good person, being a person that is kind and respectful, means more to me even than wrestling nostalgia. So with that being said, my name is Sean Hubbard. Make sure tonight, 10 p.m., you check out Conrad and my guy Derek for their AEW review. And me and Conrad together will see you guys 6:05 Eastern Standard Time back at our regular time for Clash of the Podcast this coming Monday. God bless, be encouraged, evil never prevails. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.